Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Civivi I've been waiting for, and that is none other than the Civivi Lazar. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 7.58 inches with a blade length coming in at 3.31 inches and a cutting edge of 3.125 inches. The blade width on this guy is 0.75 inches with a blade thickness coming in at 0.12 inches. Blade material is 10CR 15 COMOV with a trailing point style blade, a flat grind, and a handle length coming in at 4.27 inches. The handle thickness on this guy is 0.48 inches with a handle width of 0.75 inches. This handle is G10 material with a liner lock, a user of a right or left hand tip up carry, weight coming in at 2.61 ounces, a very reasonable price of $59.50, and designed by the one, the only, the creator of the Civivi McKenna, Elijah Isham. Now, as you guys know, this is kind of Elijah's answer to so many people's request of a bigger McKenna. We'll take a look at the McKenna here in just a second. But as you know, it's somewhat of a smaller knife, and so many people, including myself, said, you know, we need a bigger McKenna. We need that 3.25-inch McKenna. And this is his answer to our prayers, requests. Prayers for some, requests for some, I don't know, but this is it, and I gotta say, it's pretty darn good. I've really been enjoying carrying this knife. Let's take a look at some size comparisons here before we get into the knife. We have the Kaiser Genie as well as the Booz Blade Smoke. And as you can see, it's somewhat of a long knife. The Smoke and the Genie are not small knives, and as you can see, it measures up pretty well with those two. And we got to throw some Civivis in. You know there was no way we were not using some Civivis. And we have Civivi front flippers today. We have the Exarch, and we also have what I would say the newest Civivi front flipper, but I can't say that anymore because that title belongs to the Lazar. But this here is the Civivi Imperium. And I gotta say, the Imperium gives this guy a run for its money. The Imperium has really, really impressed. But as you can see, just about the same size. Kind of a nice comparison there between the Lazar and the Imperium. A little more curvature in the handle on the Lazar, but ergos aren't too far apart, in all honesty. And the last one, the infamous, popular Civivi McKenna. And as you can see, I got twinsies here as far as the setup here. This is actually a Frankenstein McKenna. This is the handle from a Damascus version and the blade of one of the brass and copper versions. So I got a 154 cm blade on this guy. But I love how they're identical. They look just alike, and I think that's awesome. But as you can see here, the design language is very similar. You have the similar cutouts in the blade, and while they don't look a lot alike, you can tell. You can tell they're related. They're from that same designer. Both creations of Elijah. Both very, very good knives. And as you can see, it's that bigger version. It's very simple, but it's so nice to finally have it and have it available. Now, let's get to talking about this guy, because this blade, I'm usually not a huge fan of trailing points or Persians, anything where the tip is kind of swept past the spine of the knife. But what you have here is a very attractive trailing point blade with a tip that's still very useful and not too dainty. I was really pleased as I was working with this guy. It just feels good in hand, and that tip is not too far away. It's not too far away from your cutting task. It's not swooped up too much. You can still easily get in there and do some digging or little precise slices with the tip if you need to, without it feeling too awkward. So that was a very, very nice thing for me to notice. That was one of my very few concerns with this knife going into the review. The blade is rather narrow, but still with an edge coming in at 14 thousandths, and that 0.12 inch thick stock. It's not too thick. It still makes for a relatively slicey blade. This is by no means the sliciest Civivi out there, but it can still it can still carry its own weight. Plenty slicey enough for everything I need in my daily tasks, and it works very, very well. Very clean blade with minimal branding. All you have on this blade is Elijah's awesome maker's mark. It really is one of the best maker marks in the industry, just based off the uniqueness of it. And if you've ever seen Elijah, he's got that mustache, he's got those eyebrows, the glasses. It's great. It has a humorous twist to it, but it's also very him. So I like that a whole lot. And while this blade is very nice, what really makes this knife truly enjoyable is the handle, because the ergos are very good. It sits in your hand. It's kind of like the Hadros in terms of the curvature in the handle, and it just sits in your hand. And when you close your hands, it very easily locks in. You don't feel like it's a little squirrely or it's going to move around. It's locked in and it's good to go. It also has this somewhat of like a false choilish area up here. And I don't think it's meant to be a choil, but I kept finding myself kind of choking up and using it like this, and it feels really good. It gives you a nice little thicker area in the handle to really give a good pinch grip. Unfortunately, there's no jimping up here on the spine. That's just for the front flipper, and it's not very effective for actually using the knife. But it still feels really good. I'm not worried about it slipping out of my hand. No real complaints there whatsoever. Some very nice ergos on this guy. What makes the ergos even better, and this also ties into action, which we will get here in just a second, but the pocket clip. This pocket clip placement, I can't say the actual clip because I've given my opinion on the Civivi clips enough, but the actual placement of this clip is key, absolutely key in the overall function of this knife, because the way they have it here set to the back of the handle makes it feel pretty darn good in hand. No hot spots, just it's kind of there, you feel it, but it's not annoying. But where it really comes into a huge benefit is when you're deploying this blade. And let me just show you. So when you have this guy in hand, obviously, you don't want to put your fingers in the way of the blade, because then you can't flip it open. But it's in that perfect position to where it gives a place for your fingers to rest right here, but also grip onto the clip. And it's positioned at kind of like that straight up angle too. It's not coming back at an angle to where you could, slip or get a little weird. It holds very well in your hand. You put your thumb up there and you flip the blade out. It's just like the McKenna. That's exactly how the McKenna works too. Very well thought out on the McKenna. It's just great. The actual deep carry clip with the bend, that does help a lot as well. But this one feels even just a little better in my opinion, because it has that bigger handle. It's just going to be a lot more enjoyable for anyone with a little wider or bigger hands. But it just feels very good, and the action is fantastic. The action is very similar to the McKenna, only with a bigger blade, and that's kind of hard to understand unless you've actually handled the McKenna. But the McKenna is a very smooth knife, and I will say this is one of the smoother Civivis I've come across in a while. Now, pretty much all Civivis have great action. We know that. It's no secret. But sometimes not all Civivis can be this smooth to where they shake shut very easily. This one also seems to be a little extra clean inside. I obviously haven't taken this apart, disassembled, and cleaned it yet, but it just feels smoother. It feels much smoother out of the box than recent Civivis. So that's always nice to notice. And overall, just a fantastic action. This is absolutely reach around approved. Very easy to do there. And I was a little wondering about that too with the bigger blades. Sometimes bigger blades can be a little harder to do, but it's a Civivi. The detent is dialed in, and there is no way that doing any type of reach around or front flip is out of the question. And you can probably also, I haven't done that a whole lot yet. I haven't done the little, the fancy swoop. Yeah, you can easily do that. That was literally the second time I did that right there. And it was pretty easy. So that's something you can probably get down in no time. Just a very, very fun fidgety knife. Guys, this is exactly what I wanted. I am not disappointed one bit. I was a little worried when I saw that trailing point blade, but This knife is exactly what I expected it to be, and I couldn't be happier. I absolutely love this knife. This is immediately one of my favorite Civivis. I cannot lie. I'm a huge fan of this knife. As to whether or not I prefer it over the McKenna, I can't really say that yet. That's a little too close to call. I really like the McKenna, but I do always have a personal preference of bigger blades. So in terms of whether I prefer the Lazar or the McKenna, you'll have to just wait. I have a Civivi top 10 list coming up later this year. I'll have my mind made up by then. But what my mind is made up on is that this is one darn good knife at a very nice price, and one that if you like front flippers, if you like Elijah Isham, you have got to check this out. It is everything that I think a lot of people was hoping for, and one I would highly recommend. Let me know what you guys think. How many of you already have one of these shipping to your house? Because I know a lot of people do. Let me know what you think when you get it, or if you have it already. What do you think of the design? Let me know all your thoughts on this guy. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.